Welcome back to the dumbest bill in America. We have with us, of course, Delegate Brian Chisholm. Welcome back, Brian.
Great to be here.
And this podcast is for House Bill 1532, and we're calling it the Higher Utility Act. The Higher Utility Act. The Democrats passed a bill, Brian, and you know you were there, to make utility rates higher. I mean, it's an omnibus bill, which is a massive bill. It's from Delegate Corman and was put in by a bunch of Democrats from the committee that deals with energy. And it is an omnibus bill. An omnibus bill is a bill that's like this thick. It's like massive bill that everybody says, don't pass omnibus bills, just pass. And you're right, you shouldn't pass omnibus bills. You should make bills understandable and easy and simple and solution driven. Well, they passed the bill anyway. It's on the governor's desk, Brian. And tell us what this bill does.
It does absolutely nothing good for I'll tell you what it does. It produces less energy and continues the skyrocketing electricity prices going up, because it really does. Look, their starting point, when you and I look at a bill like
Wait a minute, does it make utility costs lower?
No.
It doesn't. But the thing is the Democrats told us at the beginning of the session, this was one of their big priorities, and they only just passed it the last day of session after 90 days, and it still doesn't make costs lower?
Well, what they said on the floor was this will save every ratepayer on average 41 cents a day. So they are saying it's going to save money.
41 cents a day.
They said $150 throughout the year. But you and I figured out when we looked at this, 30% of every electricity bill is fees and taxes.
So let me ask you something. So if you have so I have to stop you there because I want to make sure the podcast listeners understand this. If you have an electricity bill that is $500 for the month, $150 of that bill are taxes, okay? Because they're built in through various different mechanisms, which is 30% of that bill. Go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about Reggie is on there, a hidden tax. There's Empower. There's all the other sales tax. And there's
congestion fees, capacity fees. I mean, just like one after another.
And the fighting climate change.
That's right.
But you made a good point. So we charge you $150 for all this nonsense, but we give you back $12. That's a great deal right there.
Well, so the person with a $500 bill for the month, $150 was really taxes. Yep. But the Democrats are saying we're going to give you back 41 cents a day, which is really $12.50 a month of that $150. Right. I mean, I just want to make this really clear. So what the Democrats could have done is they could have just said, we're going to suspend all taxes. Right. And there would be immediate relief on your electricity bill, meaningful relief. But instead, they're like, now we're going to give you 41 cents a day, which is $12.50. Be good. I'm sorry, go eat cake.
Well, we had a 4-point plan, right? From the Freedom Caucus. We put the 4-point plan in. Yep. I did 4 bills. I know you did a couple. And essentially, they took little tiny morsels of that 4-point plan and put it in to try to shut us up. Like, okay, we did something. But what they really do is they start from the ground floor and they say, one, how do we protect all of our advocates? Hence why you got a multi-100-page bill. Yes. It's to save their advocates because...
Explain what that means, the advocates, because the podcast listeners may not understand who's really driving all this.
Like the Senate is... I hate to call them serious, but they're the more serious chamber. Yeah. And even the Democrats in the Senate said, look, we have to stop some of this nonsense. Yeah. So they started to push back and said, we're taking out some of the green energy
So Brian,
stuff.
the advocates, we explain this to the podcast listeners. What happens is when you're in Annapolis, the advocates, these are people that want a lot of solar. They want to force you to pay for their solar. They want to force you to pay for their wind turbines. They want to force you to pay for all of their green energy stuff. And believe me, they have a million different ideas on how to do things. But they want to use those 30% taxes that they're taxing you to pay for their stuff. And you are paying for their stuff. So the advocates own the Democrat Party. Right. They own them. And why do they own them? Because they benefit financially. And so they come up here and the Democrats are like, well, we'd like to make these changes because we're hearing a lot of people complaining about their electricity bills. And the advocates are like, no, we want that 30%. We want that $150 every month from that lady that pays $500 a month for her electricity bill. We want it for us. She can afford it. She should be paying us. These are the people that own the Democrat Party, and they refuse to change the law to make prices go down. They refuse. Go, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the Sierra Clubs of the world, the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, all of these nonprofits, and you can look up, nonprofits are listed in this bill several times. They're trying to protect the nonprofits, but let's talk about what that is. It's not a real nonprofit. It is almost completely 100% taxpayer money. So the government takes the money in the state of Maryland and then pays these nonprofits, which are the most profitable business you can be in the state of Maryland.
Because the executives of the nonprofits get paid a lot of money using your taxes.
Right.
So the Democrats take your taxes, Brian. I just have to stop you so the podcast listeners can follow this. They take your money from your taxes, from your electricity bill. They stand up nonprofits. They use that tax money to pay their friends to run the nonprofits, who then make, $200,000-$300,000 a year. I mean, it's great work if you can get it, except that meanwhile, people are getting broke. They're going broke from their electricity bills. Go ahead.
And they really produce absolutely nothing, Mark. And you and I know that. They haven't produced anything but skyrocketing energy prices. Yes. And all they want is, they don't want this gravy train to ever be stopped. So you have to do a bill that's so large to try to do what? Deceive the public.
Yes.
That bill is the most deceiving thing that I think I've ever seen. It's so big, and they put pretty words in, and we're going to save the public $150 a year. But the public is paying through the nose, as you said, over $1,000 some dollars per year. If you ask the average Marylander, would you rather keep your money and have a lower electricity bill, or would you rather have us study windmills off the coast of Ocean City and solar panels covering every piece of farmland in the state? What would you rather have? Go to Baltimore City and try and sell that crap.
Oh, yeah.
That's what makes me mad. I'm like, and I said this on the floor.
Brian's mad.
Some of these people can't pay it anymore, and they don't give a shit. Yeah. Do they?
No, they don't. No. And by the way, Brian's 100% right. And I have to tell the podcast listeners, Brian has been the hero on this fight because he has researched it. He understands it. I mean, we both do. We both know a lot about this industry. And what we can't believe is that how many new things, podcast listeners, that Brian and I are uncovering.
Yep.
And the Freedom Caucus, we're all uncovering one thing after another, where you just find like a random nonprofit, as we're talked about already, but it's just like one random one after another. We didn't even know they existed, and they're getting this money from you that you're paying. And we're just like, this is really an easy problem to fix. Build more energy generation, more supply drives prices down, and then get rid of all the taxes. That getting rid of the taxes will provide the immediate relief. And of course, the more longer term relief would be creating more energy generation. Go ahead, Brian. Brian, you have the final say on this.
And I'm just going to pick one, for instance. So Delegate Dana Stein, who sits on environment and transportation, passes a lot of these bills, runs an organization called Civic Works. I'm not saying they do good work or bad work. I don't know. For the last 5 years, and this is just a fact, just less than $11 million from taxpayer money, the state of Maryland has sent Civic Works. Dana Stein pays himself $231,000 a year. He's not just some layman. He's not just some volunteer. He's the executive director. He's basically the president of this nonprofit and makes $231,000 a year. And if you do your job here, 9 months out of the year with your money off of your electricity bill. To me, I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm saying that is unethical. And if you go,
it is unethical. Look, and by the way, Brian, I just have to clarify this, and I want you to continue down this line. Dana Stein is a member of the House of Delegates, and he votes for bills, and he votes for the budget, and he votes for all these things that provide taxpayer money, including utility money, I'm sure, to his nonprofit, where he makes the 200 and how much?
231,000.
So he's in the House of Delegates. He votes for this stuff. He runs the nonprofit that was stood up, and he's got all these connections in the House of Delegates and the state Senate and with the governor, and then he's making all this money. Go ahead. I mean, it's just crooked.
He was the chief primary sponsor of putting us in the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative in 2008. That program pays millions of dollars because it takes money from the power producers, which are passed on to the ratepayers. That money now is diverted to people like Dana Stein. So he was the chief designer, architect of this bill that now makes millions of dollars, has over $300 to $400 million go into it every year that gets passed on to the ratepayer. And he is one of the top recipients of those funds. And I'm supposed to sit back and say, oh, that's okay if people in Baltimore City and the people in poverty-stricken areas can't pay their electric bill, as long as Dana Stein is running an organization that is evidently saving the world from doom. Hey, look, Al Gore should be applauding this dude.
And folks, look, the Democrats had an opportunity for 90 days to lower electricity bills, and instead they did nothing except continue the grift, continue to enrich themselves and enrich the nonprofits that they run, because they are bought and paid for by all those advocates. Brian, final couple thoughts, then we got to go.
Enough is enough. If you guys don't believe me, look up Dana Stein, look up Civic Works. You tell me where the money's coming from.
And that's the dumbest bill in America, House Bill 1532, the Higher Price Utility Act. We'll see you next time.